us about your business. What is it? What made you start it?
So, let me start with the name. The name of it is called The Flow. And it is let me sum it up. I launched my open mic night. That's what it is. But it has a little twist to it. I don't want it to just be an ordinary open mic night as people know them to be. In terms of what started it, I've been writing poetry since I was a child. Something I've always enjoyed doing, but it was also kind of like, I don't want to say escapism, but it was my way of like a coping mechanism for me, as well as enjoyable. So one of my bucket list things was to put on a poetry event, and I've been saying it for like 4 or 5 years I want to do it. And then I kind of just a few months ago gave myself that kick in the ass and said, I'm actually going to do it. I'm not waiting for people to help me again. I'm just getting on with it. And yeah, I kind of spoke to the people I needed to speak to, and I was like, what do I call it? And actually the name wasn't given to it. It wasn't given its name from myself. It was actually from my mum, who was kind of like, yeah, what about The Flow? And at first I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, cool, we're naming it that. But it was still simmering. She was like, well, regardless of what you do, you always just go with your flow in it. It's the flow. I was like, okay, I like this. And then, I just kind of created it, and then I figured, it was like the perfect name because everyone has their own unique flow. And with that said, it allows for things to go in any direction. There's no limitations, and that's kind of the purpose behind what I want to do with it. So as much as it's just an open mic, it's open mic nights, but with networking and supporting small businesses. So
what do you hope it accomplishes as it continues to flow?
Yeah. So I want it to expand in the sense of obviously being able to travel, so to different places, different venues, different, not just locations as in venues, but locations as in areas, demographics of people. And I mean, if it can go outside of the UK, even better. We plan on having workshops, so it involves young people, older people, like elders, some intergenerational work, and just kind of using it as a safe space as well for people to kind of get their words out, per se, but also to develop, whether it be writing skills, self-confidence, mentoring, pretty much everything all in one, and then growing other businesses.
And you said young people, is it just young people, or is it?
No, so I want to, being I'm a youth worker as well, I've kind of, somewhat of my world surrounds working with young people, but I want it to be like all generations. So literally from young people up to, I don't want there to be an age limit. It is going to be something that any and everyone can take part in, hence the intergenerational part where I want it to be youngers working with the elders. So we can all learn from each other. So you've got the wisdom from the elders, but you also got the wisdom from the youngers. And then sometimes it's about expression. And I think sometimes we struggle in day-to-day to communicate as it is. So hopefully that is a way of helping people to communicate better with each other.
Talk about expression. You read out yours.
I did. Do you know what? It was more nerve-wracking than people realised, because apparently I didn't show it, but the nerves were kicking inside. But at the same time, it felt really liberating because I'm not one to really read my poetry out. I write it, or I might read it to people that are close to me, but on a platform, it's not something I usually do. So it kind of also brought me out of my comfort zone, but I kind of felt it was something I needed to do. But it felt good. It did feel good.
So what's the future goals? Done your first event?
Yes.
How was that?
It went really, really, really well. And with that, shout out to everyone that performed, that came down and supported. Because to be fair, as much as I put it on, it was the performers. that made the night, and we had some amazing people come down, and some amazing pieces performed. So it was a nice vibe. A lot of people said they enjoyed the vibe because it was something different. It wasn't like on a raving scene, a partying vibe. It was the content of what people put out as well. Some of the people who performed, it was their first time. Other people were just kind of breaking that threshold still of feeling comfortable with settings and reading. Some are confident, like just reading off the cuff and doing like rehearsed spoken word, and others still, like myself, would still look at their phone and read, but you felt the passion in what they were doing. So everyone seemed to enjoy themselves, spectators or performers. And I've been requested to do another one pretty soon. So it couldn't have been too bad.
You spoke about expression. Is there particular focuses around expression? So is it going to be based on what you're wearing?
Got support. Do you know what? I think the name literally says it all. The whole point is I don't want there to be restrictions with it. I want everybody's, like I said before, everybody's flow is unique to themselves. So I don't want it to feel like at any point it becomes really confined. However, I think naturally poetry is a thing that's very personal. So interpretation is one thing, but how a person who wrote a piece delivers it and how they feel about their own piece might vary. So I don't want it to ever feel like, okay, they have to write this or do this. There might be times where we do it themed. So we might have topics for pieces to be on, but outside of that, I don't really want it to be too restrictive. I literally want everyone to have their own flow.
And how can people support you in your venture?
They can follow the Instagram page, which is The Flow Open Mic 24/7 on Instagram. The main thing is sharing. Footage has gone up, and then obviously as events come around, people turn up to the events. Also, there's always room for performers. So anybody that also wants to get their stuff out there. And when I say open mic, it's not just poetry. We had poets, we had people doing their rap, we had singers. So it's open, even if people have got like monologues, and it's like on that, it's pretty much an art form platform. The only thing that I was quite, I don't want to say strict or limited on, was content. And when I say content, I mean I try to avoid anything that I feel evokes or promotes negative stuff, i.e. violence. It's, within poetry, we could speak about it as in what happens in life and what people experience, but in terms of maybe like on the music, I don't want anything that seems like it's actually advocating for violence in a sense of it being on a personal level. If we're talking about nations and experience of going to wars and doing this, that's just different because it's context. But on a level of, I'm not having someone come up on stage and talking about, yeah, I got stabbed, so I'm about to stab a next man back. Like, that's a no. But in terms of building and how we deal with certain things or dealing around it, then that's within context. Do you know what? Do you know? No. As I said, things contextual. At the end of the day, if we're talking about it, we can talk about race, we can talk about experiences. So I'm not going to say to people they can't speak their own truth. However, as I said, I'm not advocating, when I say violence, it's more on a one-on-one. I'm not talking about like how a lot of drill music is now and their topics. That I can't. If you want to have a drill beat, fine, but I just don't want to hear about what you're going to do, like celebrating going and shanking the next man or taking someone's head off. Like none of that, but on a normal contextual level, then as I say, I can't tell someone what their truth is. So it's for them to express it.
When's the next one?
The next one, I'm being told, no. Dates will come out later, but right now we're being pushed for Feb. The plan was to do them quarterly.
Valentine's Day.
Maybe not Valentine's Day. But we'll see. What's that? Am I busy? I don't celebrate Valentine's myself, so you know. But no, we were trying to do quarterly. The plan was looking for March, but I've been told it's way too far. So yeah, looking at availability. But right now we're looking at Feb being the next one. So stay tuned because I will be letting people know when that's up.